For the last couple of months, I had an interest in the works of FromSoftware. I wanted to see what all the hype was about. The entire Dark Souls series, Bloodborne, Sekiro, or Sekiro, however you pronounce it. I don't know. I don't do that. And especially Elden Ring, since, it came out a couple months ago, and, interest was at its high point for FromSoft. Most of the time I'd be browsing the PlayStation Store on my PS4, and there was always this one game that would be on sale. Bloodborne. Bloodborne had always interested me, but back then I was mostly skeptical because, From Software's games are known to be hard, and, I'll probably just put the game down after the first 10 minutes and not touch it in another millennium. So I just passed on it most of the time, including the times it was on sale. Who ever knows how long it was ago? It was on sale with the DLC, so that day I thought, I'm getting the main game as DLC for under 20 bucks. Not a bad deal. I may as well just get the game now. So, I bought Bloodborne Complete Edition for about 15 bucks or so. I waited a good long ass time for it to install on the hard drive of my PS4. And of course, once it was done installing, I opened the game and I admit during most of the beginning, during Yarnum before the Cleric Beast, I was questioning my decisions. Even after I fought the Cleric Beast, I was still kind of skeptical of the game and how people could enjoy it, really. As goofy as it may sound. Then I started to progress a bit further to the game, and even before I reached Father Gascoigne, or Gascoigne, however people pronounce it, I got my ass kicked by most of the enemies throughout that boss run. I had gotten my ass kicked by the giants, most of the enemies in the sewers, those tall things and those rats, and the werewolves before the cleric beast kicked my ass before. But I ran past them most of the time if I ever needed to get to the cleric beast, which sounds like me being an insane person avoiding those werewolves straight to the cleric beast. That's because I am an insane person, but that's also because I didn't want to lose health. I'm trying to go after the cleric beast, and I wanted to go into that fight with near full health, so I didn't want to lose health from those werewolves. And during all that time, I was still enjoying my time for a bit and finally progressed enough and leveled up everything enough to go face Gascoigne. And I had a music box at that time, so I found the fight pretty easy and I kind of breezed through it. So, suffice to say, it still did make a big impression on me, honestly. Then, after all that, I reached the Cathedral Ward, eventually to Old Yarnum, and after all that, I encountered the Bloodstarved Beast, and during me doing this boss fight, to me, this is where it all clicked for me. Now, previously, as I said, the boss runs before Cleric Beast and Gascoigne, and the Cleric Beast especially kicked my ass a couple times, but the Bloodstarved Beast kicked my ass way more than all those elements did combined compared to any other point in that game. When I first fought the thing, I just figured, oh, I wasn't good enough, and even after leveling up all my stats, I still got my ass kicked by this damn beast. Most of the time I kept thinking, I'm not good enough. I can't beat this boss, but I have to beat this boss because I have to progress the story. Just for a little note, at the time I had thought this was a main story boss, and I didn't know it was optional, so I could have really quitted whenever I wanted to, but in retrospect, I'm really glad I didn't. The reason that I'm glad I didn't skip this fight is because this boss taught me what made up some of the most entertaining parts of the game, at least in my opinion. This boss was hard, without a doubt. It's one of the hardest bosses in the game. Well, it kind of depends on who you're talking to. But after a while, you learn that it is a learning experience through and through. Every time you lose to a boss, you remember what you lost to. Like, oh shit, I lost. I gotta remember that this boss does this lunging attack, and I have to dodge exactly at this time so I can not get hit, so I can have more health to hit it back and waste less blood vials. That's basically what you're gonna be memorizing. So once I memorized most of the Bloodstarved Beast's attack patterns, I had gotten better and better, slowly and slowly each time. Then there was this one moment in that boss fight where I had little health, and I didn't want to risk it all because I could have fucked it up then and there, because there was this little moment where I could die or the beast could die. So I took that risk and I fucking beat it, and you would not believe how much a big sigh of relief came through my body. I saw those beautiful words of prey slaughtered. That was some of the most satisfying shit I have experienced in a video game in quite some time. So when I see all the shit that inspired me to write all this, like, Dark Souls is too hard, there should be an easy mode for Elden Ring, How can I enjoy Bloodborne if I keep getting so pissed off and getting losing these boss fights? Well, this is how you fucking enjoy the game. You learn from your mistakes. Yes, these games are fucking hard as balls. That's the point, though. Think of this game as a learning experience. Now, most of the worst takes I've seen on this godforsaken platform have to do with this game being challenging and the obvious, there should be an easy mode for us newcomers. Well, I'm a newcomer, and I found this a very unique game and one of the best experiences I've had in quite a while. To compare a Souls game to something, let me compare it to school, for example. And no, that's not just because every time I head into the restrooms, I can hear a roaring chorus every time I enter, but of course, school. You should be learning something. Sure, you may be really shitty at some subject. Now, it could be a you thing. No offense, by the way. It could really be the teacher. Believe me, I've been there. But let's just say it is a you thing. No offense still. And it's a really hard as fuck class. And at first throughout the year, I hope you're getting better at least because you really should. But you're getting better, and at the end of the year, you have that satisfying passing grade because you worked to do all that in one class and you feel yourself overcoming something after all this time. Now, let me use that same analogy for the people who want a so-called easy mode for these games. So the equivalent to a Souls game having an easy mode and school is in school. Let's say, oh man, this class is so fucking hard. I cannot do this. I am failing and I cannot pass this. I'm never going to pass. So to activate the easy mode of that class is your teacher is out for the rest of the year. I don't know, she got into a car accident or something, some family reason. I don't know. And a sub comes in and you're allowed to do whatever the fuck you want. You can cheat, and this sub will basically spoon feed you the answers. Sure, I am guilty of having easy as all hell classes, but this may be me sounding like a huge nerd and shit, but I have passed a class, but what do I get out of it? Sure, I get a good grade by the end of the year, but I really didn't learn anything if most of my answers were spoon fed to me and I don't have that sense of accomplishment that I would get. So, yeah, I could say I passed, but for what? Personally, I feel like I didn't overcome any kind of obstacle. It was just a thing I had to do at the end of the day, just breezing past it and without me feeling proud of my work. Now, I'm not saying all shit should be hard as balls to have that sense of accomplishment. I know everybody wants to get through life differently, but the point I'm trying to get across is that is what the point of FromSoftware's games is. FromSoftware makes these games hard as balls to kick your ass, but you learn something throughout your experience. You learn what you should level up, you learn the boss's attack patterns, and you learn what combos are effective against these bosses. Each time you beat a boss, you overcome this obstacle to progress the game further. You are rewarded with in-game currency, of course, progress, and I know this could be me reaching because at the sheer surface level to me, and probably most of the other people in the FromSoft stratosphere, community, fanbase, whatever, the other currency that isn't Blood Echoes, insight, is gained because after beating a boss, quite literally, you as the player gain insight because you didn't get your ass kicked this time. You wiped the entire building with that boss and you overcame it. Therefore, you, quite literally, the player, gaining insight on further parts of the game on how to wipe more of those floors with the boss's ass because God knows that building could use some more clean floors, and the insight represents your knowledge on defeating all these bosses throughout the course of the game. And after all that, the Bloodstarved Beast absolutely remains one of my favorite bosses in the entire game, really. After all that, of course, I had the Vicar Amelia, and it took me like 2 tries to beat that boss, as the Bloodstarved Beast taught me a lot about some of the boss designs in the game. Oh yeah, I'll give you a quick tip if you decide to play this game and have not played it. For like most of the big beast bosses through most of the first half of the game, kind of the second half, always go behind them. It seems like an obvious example, but really, that is going to be one of the most useful tips of the entire game, and that is an easy way to avoid most of the damage that most of these bosses can do to you. Human bosses are a bit harder to do that on, so I don't recommend it as much for them. I mean, it still does work to a degree, but it doesn't hurt to try it out on them, so if you want to, go right ahead and be my guest, but if you die and keep relying on that method, it's not my fault. Let's see, where was I after that? Oh yeah, the Witch of Hemwick was a literal Joko boss. Martyr Logarius was Another challenging boss I absolutely loved. Once again, he was another boss I really had to learn because I love the valuable learning experiences of finding out when a boss swings. And I say, that adrenaline rush when the boss is a quarter down at health and you have like 15 blood vials left or something like that, it is one of the most tense things to do. Let's see, what else? Oh yeah, Dark Beast Pearl. I admit, I kind of pussied out and called in a summon. Yes, I know. After all this talk of overcoming challenges, I called in a summon for the Dark Beast Carl, and it's already kind of an easy boss. It was still a fun boss, really, though. And hey, this goes out to all of you people who say this game is hard when you have all these assists for like most of the bosses in this damn game, and literally almost any other Souls game too. Let's see, what else we got? Shadow of Yharnam was also kind of an easy boss. It took me like 2 to 3 tries to do, honestly. Rom took me a bit too, but after a while you can kind of guess what you have to do, so the boss isn't too hard after a bit either, but still a good challenge and nice transition point. Oh, right, I didn't even touch upon the damn story, or at the least the amount of story that I could find throughout my playthrough. Now, going into a FromSoft game, most of the time everybody is hopping into these games for the gameplay and not the story. Believe me, I'm becoming one of them. Even though FromSoftware already knows their amazing ass gameplay will sell their games, they still take the time to have this rich world building throughout the game, and it's enough to be appreciated of them building all this lore and world details, knowing that most of the players probably don't give a shit about the story, because believe me, I'm one of them, as kind of sad as it is to say. If you want to know the story of the game, go check out Vatty video. Sorry if I butchered that name, video about Bloodborne's lore. It helped me to know what was going on, and if I went to explaining it all right now, this video would be an extra 10 minutes, believe me. The lore really gets that deep. I'll probably link his video somewhere in the description. Let's see, what boss was I talking about after that tangent? Oh yeah, I did one Reborn, which is a really surprisingly easy boss in the game, which to me was really disappointing. I did the boss my first try, which is kind of the most disappointing thing for a big boy boss like that. Like, really, he's a big fucking boss, so I was expecting a bit more of a challenge. So, a bit disappointed. Mikolash is an annoying boss, but not in the way you think. It's just kind of a lame gimmick. It's still easy, but it's more just boring. And if you played the game, you probably already know why. Marigold's Wet Nurse, which is also disappointingly an easy boss, and the worst thing is she could be 1 out of 3 final bosses in the game. So to me, I just thought there should have been more to that boss fight. Then, here in this point, you could finish the game here with Gehrman killing you, but me being me, I chose not to and took him on. And, oh boy, I was not expecting how hard he was. Now, throughout most of the game, I kind of pussied out of the optional hunter boss fights because I could, and I did, damn it, but damn, Gehrman really is a hard final boss, and he is an excellent final boss at that. He challenges everything you know about the game and really puts every skill that you've learned to the test. It took me 2 damn days to beat him, and you bet that it was one of the most satisfying things to defeat that final boss. And to me, Gehrman as a final boss truly represents how a finale should be. A final boss should be absolutely hard as balls, and it should implement as much, but not too much mechanics to the game, because it should challenge all those mechanics of combat you learn throughout the game, but not overload you at the same time. Is he my favorite boss? No. But is he absolutely a worthy final boss? Yes. And he was an absolute, really good note to end the game on. But psych, bitch, you thought you were over? You wanted to get the true ending and ate 3 different umbilical cords, strange as it sounds, throughout the game, and wanted this last little appetizer or boss that I got 10 extra minutes of this game, and it was also kind of easy. Fair to say it kind of ended me on a low note for me with this boss on how easy it was, but I guess I got the true ending anyway, so I see that as an absolute win. Now, I skipped a few of the optional bosses because I didn't know where they were, and I didn't do the DLC yet, but I'll get to it once I get there in my second playthrough. As my first experience with the Souls game, this was absolutely one of the best experiences I've had in the game for a while. After I completed it, I absolutely got the hype of FromSoftware and their games, and hey, during that journey, I got to pick up Dark Souls 1 and 3. Can't wait to enjoy those games too. So as a game, this has some of the simplest gameplay, but it's very effective and is my definitive example of easy to learn, hard to master. The world building is some of the most excellent world building I've seen ever since I played Bioshock, and the bosses are some of the best parts of the gameplay and truly test the limits of the player and its combat. I absolutely think everyone should play at least one Souls game in their life just to see the hype. If you have a PS4, absolutely get Bloodborne. You will absolutely not regret your decision. So what was the point of me making this video? Well, I just want to share my experience with this game and just gush about one of my new favorite games of all time and just gush about the majesty that is FromSoftware. Thank you for watching my video and listening to my stupid ramblings about things I'm passionate about. I'll see you when I decide to do another video about something that I feel like I have to talk about every once in a while.